Hello and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts AJ Hamilton and Lance Corporal Pappas.
Is my first name Lance?
That's right.
Okay.
And your middle name is Corporal. Your parents had a very ambitious schedule for you.
Yeah, well, I fucked that up.
Yeah. Are you not anywhere in the military complex yet?
True story.
Okay.
I had a guy call me when I was like 17 or 18,
Uh-huh.
a recruiter being like, would you like to join the military? We could help you with any job that you're looking to do, this, that, or the other thing. And he was like, well, what would you like to do? And I was like, I want to be an actor. And the guy said, well, that's great because, you know, there's so many films about like war and soldiers and it'd be really, really great for you like to do that. And then that way you have a history and like we can pay for your school, like acting school. And on top of all that, like you would have a lot of great character study. And I went, really? Oh my God. You know what? I'm in. I'll join. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, wait, one condition. Do I have to run? And the guy went, yeah. And I was like, well, if you can put in the contract that I don't have to run, I'll do it. He hung up on me.
Didn't you play football?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I played hockey.
Oh, you don't have to run at all in that.
No,
you just slide on the ice.
You just glide,
oh,
baby.
that makes a lot of sense. All right. That's
Nicholas C. Pappas.
And Nicholas C. Pappas. Fun tangent. Did you know that in World War II, there were 9 people that were classified as artists? Their rank was artist.
Really?
2 of them that I remember. I'm sure there are a couple of other good ones. But Dr. Seuss and Stan Lee.
What?
Yeah. Can you believe that? They were classified as artists.
I wish this movie we watched today was about the guys classified as artists during World War II.
Agreed.
Rather than the World War II movie that we did end up watching.
Yeah. This movie was a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched it.
I mean,
It played out in front of our eyes.
yeah, I mean, it was directed by Umberto Lenzi.
Ah, yes.
It was made in 1986. Well, released in 1986.
Okay, yes.
It even had a title,
It did have a title.
which was...
The Bridge to Hell. Or Bridge to Hell, right?
I'm not sure if there's a the.
No, I don't think there
I
is.
added a the a couple of times.
All right.
but-
Bridge to Hell.
Bridge to Hell.
Listen, I was so disappointed because when you said the name, I was like, ooh, Bridge to Hell. That sounds like some horror movie, like having to go into the underworld or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then you said it was a World War II movie, and I was still on board.
Yeah.
Because that's an aggressive title, and I thought this will
Why not?
absolutely live up to that. And then it didn't.
Yeah.
So, Nick, you want to tell us what this movie is about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
An American, placebo, and a Nazi deserter walk into a convent. They try to fuck a nun and steal 13 gold chalices. But hey, they blow up a bridge instead in the Purgatory Crossover.
Now that is a good title.
Yeah,
And you should save that.
I will. The Purgatory Crossover?
Yes. Yeah.
TM. R with a little circle.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
Don't steal that.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It's very good. The Purgatory Crossover.
I would be fine with that as the title for this movie.
Pergsy Cross?
Pergsy Cross. Yeah, that's...
That sounds like a
Pergsy Cross.
But it sounds like definitely something that, like, a train station in England.
Pergsy Cross.
Are you getting off at Pergsy Cross?
Jaunt over to Pergsy
Oh,
Cross.
did you see Harry Potter at Pergsy Cross?
Nobody sees Harry Potter.
And I also said Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Did you see Harry Potter?
Harry
Did you see
Potter.
Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
I got a story for you.
Yeah, please.
This is gonna... oh, boy. I was working at a movie theater when the first Harry Potter movie came out, and there was a man who spoke limited English, came up to buy a ticket, and he said, I would like to buy 1 ticket to see your Harry Potter. And I was like, excuse me?
Oh.
And then I realized what he was saying. Because I honestly, for like the first 4 seconds, was like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And then I realized, and I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, sure. Come on in.
Harold Potman.
Harold Potman. This is going to be.
Can we just do tangent episode?
I was going to say this is tangent cast.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to get to the movie. Sorry, guys.
You know, it's okay.
I don't think it's that big of a loss.
Listen, we should probably talk about the movie.
Okay.
You know, this movie is actually. I think the reason we're doing this is.
Yes.
It's such a hard movie to talk about because. I mean, partially. I mean, it starts in media res, which is great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. They jump off of a truck. And they run through a town, hide in a monastery.
And to be clear,
yes.
there are 3, I would say, like, main characters.
Yeah.
And what we come to find out in the movie is they were in a concentration camp.
Right.
And they escaped from the concentration camp. And we have an American soldier.
Lieutenant Bill Rogers.
Played by Andy J. Forrest.
They could have gotten a better Andy J.
What a fucking terrible name.
Hey. Wow.
I know, that was terrible.
Offensive.
I know.
That's okay, though.
Mr. A.J.
Yeah, that's why I dropped the Andy. Just saying.
I know, it's
much better.
Then there was an Italian man named Mario Pizzilbo?
Pizzilbo?
But we kept hearing Bilbo or Dildo.
Or Placebo.
Or Placebo, depending on who said it.
Yeah.
And then there was a...
played by Carlo Mucari.
And then a Nazi deserter named Blitz.
Simply Blitz.
Blitz.
Played by Paki Valenti, right?
Something like that.
Sure.
It looks like that. And those are basically our 3 characters. But what happens is the movie starts. They basically jump out of a truck. And that's it. They run to
into a monastery.
Fuck this movie.
Fuck this movie because it plods along so poorly. Like, the pacing is bad. The feeling of stakes are bad. Like, at one point, Blitz gets shot and...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, you're welcome. And there's really no worry about him, kind of. I mean, it's
he's
just...
forgotten about. When he dies, he's just sort of like... Like, they didn't even, go, where's Blitz?
Yeah.
It's like... anyways.
Well, he also got shot earlier in the movie.
Oh, that's true,
and they don't really I'm feeling a little woozy, and then he just continues on.
I think one of the big issues with this movie, first of all, I'm just going to throw out there, is the way it does start in media res. It feels, and a lot of Cannon films have done this so far, where it feels like all they did was they chucked the first 3 reels of the movie, where any sort of character was set up. We understood who these guys were, their hopes, their dreams, their desires.
Yeah.
The fact that they were, American, Italian, or German. The only one who sounded American, obviously the only one who sounded American was the American, but the Italian guy and the German guy, they were basically the same guy. In many ways.
Yeah, I think the way you remake this movie, first of all, like you said, it starts in action. It starts in media res where they've already gotten out of the concentration camp days, possibly weeks ago. Who knows how long they've been traveling. I think you establish them in there making the connections with each other.
Yeah.
And that's the first third of the movie.
Well,
that would be incredible.
The Great Escape. So, there's that.
That's fair. That's fair.
This
so they just wanted to cut out the good stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like it happens. It's like, this movie is they basically just were like, you know what? Let's start the movie where the Great Escape ended.
Yeah,
after
perfect.
the escape. Let's just go from there.
Yeah, I love it.
Perfect.
No, but I think you could have established them even in the first 15 minutes of the movie and then had them escape.
Absolutely.
I think you give them more fleshed out characters. You give them, like you say, hopes, dreams, talk about their history. We figure out, we maybe have more of an understanding of the deserter, the Nazi deserter, because he was just kind of a happy-go-lucky dude. All of them were. That was the thing too, is that their attitudes felt so, just whatever, hey, we're just hanging out in the... Where were we? We decided that they might have been in Bosnia?
Bosnia? Yeah.
Possibly?
That was super unclear.
They never established what country they were in.
Right. Because, and here's the other thing too that's really unclear is, I understand why a deserter would be in a concentration camp. That makes sense as far as
A punishment.
Yeah. I understand why an American is there.
Sure.
What I don't understand is why an Italian, who is a sergeant in the Italian army, who, last I checked, were allies of the Germans during World War II.
Do we know that he wasn't an Italian from America?
Yeah.
We do know
you
that?
heard his accent.
No, I know, but, like, he could have been first-generation Italian.
I don't think so.
They weren't... Okay, maybe not.
I don't think so. Especially because... Yeah, I just don't think so.
No, absolutely. But weren't the rest of them, when they meet up with that battalion of people, who were they?
Fuck if I know.
I mean, were they...
I think they were French, maybe?
Were they French? Because they all had different weird accents. I don't know. This uses a style of editing or dubbing that we've seen before. Actually, go back to The Red Queen Kills 7 Times.
Yeah.
Is that the title? That
was it.
I always forget about that. It's very long. But what they do is they get a bunch of different people depending on their country of origin. Do you assume that this was shot in Italy? It
was shot in Yugoslavia.
Oh, it was?
That I do know.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I can tell you that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I can tell you that it was shot in Yugoslavia.
Nice. So it was shot in Yugoslavia. So they got probably a bunch of different people, Italians, Americans, Germans, to shoot it, and we'll explain how they would shoot the scene.
So this is a very Italian way of filmmaking, and in fact, spoiler alert, not really a big spoiler, but in the new Quentin Tarantino film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
yes,
there's a character who actually comments on the fact that he hates this is how Italians used to film things, and what they would do is in these spaghetti westerns, or in this case, this was more of like a spaghetti war film, right? They would just cast and crew multinationally. Everyone would speak their language of origin, so it didn't matter. So on set, you can have an Italian man speaking Italian, and then an American speaking English, and then a German man speaking German, all in their own native language. And you just have to memorize when it's your turn to talk.
Sure.
And then in post,
they would just edit it.
They would just dub it.
They would dub in whatever language that they were releasing the film in.
Yeah. And sometimes this turned out to even be so interesting or bad or whatever you want to call it, where like you might have a famous face is one of your characters, yet it's still dubbed, like they might be in English, right? Like
sure,
they might be it might be an American actor speaking English in an Italian film that is then later dubbed by a different American.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. So
and it's a little bit like getting Franco Nero in Enter the Ninja.
Yes.
And then completely dubbing his
voice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's exactly that. And I think it was a way to work cheaply. It was a way to make sure that the spaghetti westerns and Italian films ended up having a bigger, broader audience, because if you can pull in a star from Germany, if you can pull in a star from Italy, you can pull in a star from America, that star will anchor the movie in each of those three countries.
Right.
So that way, in each of those three countries, it'll do well.
Sure. But were any of these guys really known?
No. You're absolutely right in that. Umberto Lenzi. He was fairly well known.
Sure.
Although, honestly, I can't remember No, he must have filmed these first. He did Sacrifice, Eaten Alive, and Cannibal Ferox, which were 3 movies in, like... the best way to describe it is like that cannibal genre, where people would end up somewhere deep in the Amazon.
Yes.
And then they run into a tribe who were all cannibals and would kill them, and... Cannibal Holocaust is part of this. Eli Roth did a movie recently called The Green Inferno.
Inferno, right. Which is basically that movie.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
And he sort of kickstarted this. He also did a movie called Eyeball, which is giallo-esque. And then he also did a couple of movies. One of my favorite is the Super 7 Calling Cairo. Which is definitely a cheesy remake of James Bond, where Agent Super 7.
That's what the 00 stood for.
Was super.
Yeah.
So, Umberto Lenzi was fairly
Yeah.
You know, he was a director. Like, people knew him.
Yeah.
And also music by Fabio Frizzi, who did Zombie 2,
Right.
The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, A Cat on the Brain, Manhattan Baby, and for listeners of this podcast,
Yeah.
Aladdin.
Super Fantagenio.
Super fun. Genie. I am the genie of the lamp.
What a great movie.
Yeah.
Go back and check that out.
Yep.
Available now for
free
bootleg
on YouTube.
free on YouTube.
Yeah. You know, in all of this talk, one of the things I realize where this screws up when it starts in that media res. Because, like, you know, Saving Private Ryan does the same thing.
Sure.
But with Saving Private Ryan, after that huge... Like, that first battle is like 30 minutes.
It's
like
amazing.
The D-Day thing.
Yeah.
But then they sort of connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they have moments, right? They have that moment together where we sort of learn who they are. In this movie, we start in action.
Yeah.
And before we have a chance to even learn our characters' names, we actually learn our characters' names when they run into this other group of people.
When they run into the rebellion.
Yeah, and all they do is they introduce themselves.
Yeah, and they...
And the people in the rebellion introduce themselves. And at this point, it's like...
Thanks, exposition meeting.
Yeah, who?
Great.
Not only that, but like, wait, who are our characters we're supposed to follow?
Yeah.
Who do we care about?
Yeah.
At this point, we meet Vanya.
Auntie Vanya.
No, that's Uncle Vanya reference. We could check that off the list.
Yes.
Check off the
Good.
list.
Oh. You're welcome, theater nerds. Played by Francesca Farah.
Uh-huh.
I don't really know her.
Nope, me
But,
either. But
and-
we should give her credit.
Absolutely. And there's a bunch of other guys in the camp. And it's just... very, again, I keep bringing up the stakes, but they don't worry about these guys too much. They're ready to execute the German because they're like, hey, he's a German. We gotta kill him. Get him out of here.
It's amazing because this happens like 5 times in the movie where they'll go somewhere and Placebo, the Italian guy, will be like, hey, it's a me, Placebo. And they're like, oh, I can't trust you, stupid Italian.
Right.
And then the German guy's like, Frankfurter, hot dog. And they're like, oh, we're going to kill you too. We're going to put a bullet in each of your heads.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're on your side. And they're like, no, we're going to fucking kill you, you pieces of shit. We're going to cut your throat out and pull out your tongue and use them as a fucking necktie and... you're gonna die that way, and then you're gonna watch each other, and then we're gonna make you make out.
What movie was this? I want to see this movie.
Okay, no, but the point that I'm getting at
Yes.
is, and then the American guy would be like, no, hey, they're cool. They're really cool.
Hey, I've been in the concentration camp with them for a little bit of time.
And they seem
He's
pretty
great.
okay.
And they're like,
oh,
never mind.
Oh, yeah, no, the American said it's cool.
Okay, cool.
Great, all right, you guys are fair. You guys are fine.
All right. Hey, would you mind doing this really important mission that we need to do? We trust you now.
No.
We're absolutely...
No, we're trying to get out of country. I'm sorry. No, we're trying to get out of country.
Oh, maybe, I guess.
We're
yeah,
just trying
sure.
to get out of the country.
Why not? We can help you with that. And
well, actually, it makes it even better because the reality of it was like, we have 2 planes. You guys are pilots, right? So you're going to fly these planes? And they're like, well, actually, we are pilots, so it's a pretty good, convenient thing that happened.
Well, no, but the German guy, he says, I have flown before, but I threw up when I tried to land. And they're like, get up into the air.
Great, perfect.
Who cares? Who cares?
We also neglected to mention that Vanya is a nun.
A former nun.
No, she's a current nun.
Is she?
Who left the nunnery to fight, but she's planning on still going back to being a nun.
Okay.
And it's amazing because Bazilpo and her are like standing outside together. This was one of my favorite moments. And Bazilpo's just looking at her. Like, they've just met. She's like, hi, I'm Vanya. Hi, I'm Bazilpo. They look at each other and he goes, I can't make you out. And she's like, what do you mean? What? And he's like, nothing. He like walks away. And then, like, before they go on the flying mission, she's asleep on the ground. He comes
my
up.
God.
This was not funny. Like, the I can't make you out was funny. This
Right.
was horrible. She's asleep. He goes up. He, like, slides his hand up her leg to grope her. Mm-hmm. She wakes up and she's like, what are you doing? This is not okay. And he's like, you behave like a nun. And she goes, I am
a nun.
And that's how we find out, ladies and gentlemen, that she is a nun.
And that's why women shouldn't be allowed in the military. Because men are awful.
Oh. You know?
Oh my god.
You really made a hard turn on that one.
I did.
And I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, no. It's so gross. That's another big problem with this movie. We see them, we're following these guys, and, you know, we're supposed to assume that they are the heroes of the movie. They run the mission. They bomb the Germans.
Yeah,
and
win the planes.
By the way,
there were 2 biplanes. They had no communication system.
And they were yelling at each other.
In the air. They're flying through the air, and they're like, "Hey, Bazilpo, hey, how's it going over there? You flying all right?" And Bazilpo's like, "These men behind me is about to throw up."
It was great. It was So they're done with the mission, and at one point when Bazilpo is talking to Vanya, he finds out about the nunnery that she is from, and they have this is the whole crux of the entire movie.
Oh wait, before we get there,
okay,
I just
what do you want to say?
Like 2 things.
Hold on, crux of movie.
Hold on, crux of movie.
Yep, go ahead.
One was the fact that as they were trying to figure out whether or not they're going to go on this mission, one of the characters, and I think it was Bazilpa, was like, "Ugh, this nun won't fuck me, and I have to fly a plane." I miss the concentration camps.
Yep.
And
this is Hogan's Heroes level of
Yeah.
not taking World War II seriously.
And then in the dogfight, like the planes were fighting each other.
Modern, or not modern, but modern for the times, versus these old-ass biplanes.
Yeah.
And they're
yeah.
dropping those nipple bombs.
That you like to throw out
Yeah.
by hand.
Jesus.
But then there's a scene where they like dogfight, like the German planes are starting to dogfight the American planes.
Yep.
And it was the weirdest shot thing in that either we were like 400 miles away from the plane and it was like you could barely see it on the screen.
Yeah.
Or this extreme close up of the pilot's eyes and like nothing in between.
Nothing in between. No.
Which I'm
pretty
thought was
sure
really weird.
At one point they were miniatures.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So, I mean, they were doing their best. I think that, especially in those situations where they're bombing either the train or the encampment or a lot of different things, there are pretty decent... I don't know what the budget for this was, but...
Very low.
I'm absolutely sure of that. But they had some decent action scenes.
Yeah.
Some decent, like, practical explosions
Yes.
and different stuff like that.
Well, I think you actually hit the nail on the head here. And it was the same thing with Missing in Action.
Okay,
Where
yeah.
where that like incredible like mushroom cloud explosion
Oh,
happened
yeah.
from the C4.
Yes.
There is something super fascinating about how any practical explosion looks awesome.
Yeah.
Even if it's cheap, if it's
And people are 15
dangerous,
feet away and jumping away from it.
yeah, it still looks good in a weird way.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That moment when in this movie where the plane, like another German plane was like shooting people on the ground.
Yeah.
Where the gunfire went and you saw all of the squibs explode on the ground.
Yeah.
The plane was sort of like, the squibs were like 20 feet in front of the people running all of a sudden, exploding. And like people 20 feet away were like, now I'm dead. And falling over.
Yeah, it's... That's why they cut quickly.
Yeah.
That's why they do that. I will say that production-wise, with the outfits, with the planes that they got, with all of the vehicles and different things like that, it's pretty good production value, except it's shot like a Saturday afternoon movie.
Yeah. Yeah, like like an after-school special kind of a thing.
Yeah,
it's
just
not shot well.
No, it's not creatively shot. It's just like, here's a wide, reverse, close up, reverse. Yeah, exactly.
If you told me they shot this movie in 3 weekends, I would believe you.
Oh, yeah. Everything is in the woods constantly. And some of the shots aren't even from the shoot.
This was actually an interesting moment because there was one shot in the movie where both AJ and I were like, holy fuck, that's a cool shot.
It's the coolest. They're hunting, the Germans are hunting the rebellion with dogs.
Do you know how we knew they were the Germans?
How?
They were German shepherds. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, should I have paused for laughter?
Yes.
I'll edit that in.
Just to put in a laugh track.
Done.
But the one from the Scooby-Doo television series. They were German shepherds.
Done.
Yeah.
I gotcha. But so it's a great dolly shot across a field of these ravenous dogs.
Yeah.
And at waist level, so it's just the dogs. You don't even see the torso of the German soldiers. So it's even more like, oh, it's visceral and it's and
Come to find out, that was stock footage from a different movie.
what the hell?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, do with it what you want. It even had a different tint to it. Did you notice
Yeah,
that? It had
it
sort
did.
of like a yellowish
I
tint.
was
and
really
I was like,
excited
oh,
about
that's a
that
shame.
moment, but
Yeah, it came pretty early on in the movie, and I was like, ooh, maybe this is kicking up a notch.
nope.
Maybe, not at
No.
all.
Shortly after this, we get to the crux of the movie, which I did interrupt you on earlier.
No,
so I
that's fine.
apologize.
The crux of the movie is that the three guys that we've been following as heroes somehow find out from Vanya, the nunnery, the
Convent.
convent that she was from, has 12 or 13, I don't remember.
Thought
Was it 13?
13?
That's fair. 13 gold and
Jewel-encrusted.
bejeweled, not bejeweled. That's
Yeah, it's a difference.
bedazzled.
Bedazzled.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Bedazzled's one thing. Bejeweled something else. Bejazzled is a third thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. We never saw under their habits, so we don't know if that's what they were doing or if that was of the time. But,
yeah.
I
don't think they were in
they
the
could have been.
habit of that.
Boo. Anyway,
I'm so tired. I'm so sorry
so-
for all these bad puns. I really apologize.
you usually reserve this just for watching the movie with me.
Yeah, no,
and
these are-
people don't see it.
No, I'm
But,
doing all the puns on the episode. And I
I'm so glad.
apologize.
So their thought is, hey, these chalices that are very, I can't think of fucking words right now.
Holy. They're like holy relics.
Yes.
These chalices are so important to these nuns. And I think the nuns were like, these have been here for 500 years.
Yeah.
And it is our order to protect
Jesus brought them to us.
them. Yeah, basically.
And so their thought is, before we escape back over enemy lines, let's go steal this shit from nuns.
Yeah. And then we could sell them because they're probably going to be worth about $5 million.
Yeah. And then we'll get how much?
1.7 million each. Which the math of that doesn't quite add up.
Whatever.
But it's fine.
They were factoring in the fencing fee and all that stuff,
Well, actually, it'd be less because it'd be 1.666 million each. But that's all the story.
Whatever. I'm done with your math.
The bridge to hell.
The bridge to hell.
1.666.
Oh, there it is. Very nice. You figured it out.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm there now.
Yep. So that's where our heroes, quote unquote, are headed now. So it's a nun heist.
Yeah, it's a heist movie.
Heist on nuns.
It's like there was a point where I was like, oh, so this is like if you did a sequel to The Great Escape that used elements from The Monuments Men. Right? This is where my mind was at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll get aspects of yet another movie later on.
Because, long story short, they basically convinced the nuns to hide the jewel-encrusted chalices. They go ahead and steal the box that the chalices are in the morning, and they try to leave, and Vanya's like, I'm going with you.
But she doesn't know that they've stolen this. They're like, hey, don't, because they're leaving in a stolen Nazi truck.
Is this the point where
troop transport?
My favorite line happened? Nazi trucks.
Yeah. That's right. There is a point where, here, I'll read it.
Wait, you read it and I'll do the visuals.
Okay. So they come up on a road.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hell of a lot of Nazi trucks, my friend.
Cut to the road. No trucks on it. The camera pans. All of a sudden, 2 trucks.
And then and we're like, it's almost like a laugh shot.
It's a comedy beat.
Look at all those. But then they pan back over
further,
and there's a bunch.
Yeah. Look, either the filmmaker is so inept that they didn't realize what they were doing, or that was actually supposed to be a joke.
I don't know if this was supposed to be a comedy. This almost feels like it was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
There's times, now that we're thinking about this, if we think of it in the lens of a comedy, I can sort of see some of this stuff.
But the fact that there are a bunch of people that die in the raids that the Germans do on the rebellion and on other... I mean, the good guys slaughter a bunch of Germans when they come into the convent.
Yeah.
To protect, quote unquote.
At one point, the American, the Italian, and the nun are about to be put to death by a firing squad.
Yeah.
And Blitz kills like 20 German soldiers with a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Which also, by the way, I don't know how he didn't also rip apart his compatriots.
No, I mean, it would have made more sense if they were on their knees.
Right.
And then he just cut everybody in half. Yeah. By the way, you ever seen Ghost Ship?
Yes.
Greatest first 5 minutes of a movie that disappointed me through the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that first 5 minutes was like, it's
beautiful.
Fuck.
Beautifully done. No spoilers, but
watch the first 5 minutes of Ghost Ship.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then you don't have to watch the rest of it.
You don't have to watch anything.
No, exactly.
There's going to be a point where you go, holy fucking shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you say that to yourself, stop watching.
You can
Ghost
be
Ship.
done. Yeah, you can be.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yep.
You're welcome, America.
Yeah, we've saved you an hour and a half of your life. But God, what is this movie even?
I just want to say like four of my favorite lines.
Yeah.
Like one time one of the German soldiers goes, "We have orders from a general named Hitler." Another favorite line was, I think it was the like Mother Superior said something to the effect of, "Oh, you're going to save our chalices? That's amazing, because we thought all Americans were the same as Russians. Followers of Satan."
That's right.
To which I fell over laughing.
Oh my God.
This point, I mean, we could probably just wrap this up real quick.
Yeah, we really can, because they try to ditch Vanya, then they come up. Actually, that's where they realize that's a hell of a lot of Nazi trucks. That's right,
because and then they trick Vanya into taking a bath into a lake to take a bath. She's like naked in the lake.
Yeah,
they drive away real fast. They see the Nazis in the trucks. That's a hell of a lot of trucks, my friend.
Yep.
They pop their truck in reverse, and they drive
the way back
in reverse to Vanya, who then just sort of like gets in the car, like nothing happened.
She's like, "Oh, are we ready to go?"
And they're like, "How did we end up back here?"
So
we had $1.7 million worth of jewels for each of us.
And at that point, they realize they're all discussing it, and the bridge to hell, if you think about it in a World War II scenario, you think of, okay, then if this is focused on a bridge, right? This is going to be, they need to take out this bridge for a strategic advantage, to win the war or something like that. Bridge over the River Kwai type thing.
Well, that's exactly, well, because what ends up happening is they see your bridge, you're like, well, if we can drive across that bridge and then explode it,
right,
we can then
then we're in the clear.
We're in the clear, and we can steal the jewels.
So essentially, it doesn't have anything to do with gaining advantage in the war. It's just to save their asses. And we don't even find out about the bridge until
2 minutes before they try to blow up the bridge,
right?
Which happens 15 minutes before the end of the movie.
Yeah, and although there was a bridge earlier that
was also
exploded, but that doesn't even.
That's not the same bridge.
No.
At this point, I was like, wait, so this is the sequel to The Great Escape, where the Monuments Men fucked Bridge over the River Kwai.
Yes.
And that is then what we have.
Yes.
Well, I think what's really tough is, at certain times, our quote-unquote heroes seem motivated by the money and the greed. And then at certain times, they're like, you know what? If we let these Germans get across this bridge, and we let these Germans overhave this bridge, like, we're going to kill a bunch of people, so we got to take care of this bridge.
Well, but they didn't.
To the point...
That was just to cover their asses.
But that's the thing, though, is like, I don't know the motivations. Like, I actually wrote like 7 times, what do they want?
Yes.
Because I think it was as clear as mud if they wanted to be war heroes.
Right.
If they were trying to steal the money. If they were just trying to get back home.
Most of the time, it felt like they were just being opportunistic assholes, honestly.
Sure, but I also felt like there were times where they weren't trying to be opportunistic assholes.
Well, they did what they were told, maybe, and then later on, actually, after this, they do something selfless at the airfield. But that's after all of that shit.
But then the question, though, because so they do blow up the bridge, right?
Yes,
and on this
of course.
blowing up the bridge, Blitz dies.
Yeah, he gets shot as he's setting the charges.
Yeah, and no one seems to really fucking care that Blitz has died. We already kind of talked about that.
That is very disappointing because it's so poorly. You never know the stakes of any of the individual battles at the time. Like, one of the guys has a machine gun and is holding off some of the Germans. Other guy is helping Blitz go down the side of the thing, but nobody's coming towards him.
Well, not only is nobody coming towards him, he's just watching as a bunch of German soldiers are running towards Blitz and shoot him.
Yeah.
When he could have... And, like, obviously it's really sad when Blitz dies because he's got a child at home.
Sure.
He's got a wife who loves him.
Do we know any of this?
No, we don't fucking know anything about anybody.
No, but he's been with us since the beginning of the movie, so we're forced to care.
Right. Well, and I think that's where this movie really misses the mark,
yeah.
right? Is like, we don't know anything about anybody. Care. And we actually don't... I maintain the fact that, like, we don't know what they want.
Right.
Because it feels ever-changing. Like, in one scene, they want one thing, in another scene, they want something else.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're... But there's never, like, a time where they're like, this is what we really want. With each other.
Except from the money.
But even then, they start off with the money as like a... Well, I think that's the other thing, too, is like everything feels like plot contrivances and randomness. Because like there was one part in the movie where for no reason a German soldier, like a high-ranking German commander, gets out and he goes, nobody could be on this bridge. But he doesn't explain why or anything. It's just all of a sudden, nobody's allowed on the bridge.
Yeah.
Which then... I think explains why the bridge isn't covered with German soldiers when everyone gets there.
Right.
But there's nothing that attaches to that. Because where I thought that was going to go was this, like, a cool thing of, like, because they're in a German truck. They're dressed as German soldiers.
Yeah, and they have a German soldier with them.
Right. So the thought that I had was that the commander is going to be like, no one can be on this bridge whatsoever. And all of a sudden this German truck comes in.
Right.
And that's how the Germans know that they're not German.
Yeah.
That would have been great. But actually, it turns out that was the way they explained away that there was no one covering the bridge.
Yeah, that's all.
It's
a very wooden and clunky story.
Yeah. Well...
And at that point, they blow up the bridge. The two guys and Vanya get over to the other side, and she's like,
that's, the American
placebo. And...
Blitz is dead.
And Blitz is dead, and they're like, okay, what do we do now, lady? And she's like, oh, I'm going away. I'm gonna do my thing. You guys enjoy your time. They drive away from her like 50 feet, and
they stop and have this conversation where one of them's like, well, I guess that's more money for us. Although I do wish we could be splitting it with Blitz. I'd rather 1.7 million
barely
than 2.5.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go check the chalices. And the chalices are...
missing! They're just a bunch of rocks! Ha ha ha! And there's a note from Vanya saying, oh, you silly men.
We knew you were gonna do this, but we were gonna have none of it.
Yep, and now we really
none
have...
of it. None of it.
You're fired. You're fired off of this.
See you later.
Yep.
Bye. It was nice knowing you.
And they said, thank you for making us understand that we do really have to hide these things. And
so we hid them better when you weren't around.
Yeah, dummies.
You idiot.
And so that's the end of that. And they're like, well, I guess let's at least get off of this wherever we are.
Right.
So they drive to a German airstrip.
Was this at the point where... Okay, so I think I lied, because this is actually my favorite line of the movie.
Yeah.
Where the American... Actually, it was the American said to Vanya.
Okay.
This is when it happened. Before Vanya left them, she was like, all right, goodbye, what are you going to do? And the American goes, well, I guess me and this old spaghetti-faced Italian
Jesus, yeah.
are going to go to America.
Oh, my God.
And the fact that he called him a spaghetti-faced Italian.
Thanks, apple pie, Dick.
This hamburger-eating numbnuts. Oh, my God, the spaghetti-faced Italian.
Good Lord.
I died.
What a time.
Anyways,
what a time to be alive.
So now they're at the German air. Man, if you think that we are incoherent today,
yeah,
I would say that this movie is just as incoherent.
Well,
like, we're actually giving it a pretty...
And yet it's just so boring. Like, you get through it and you're like, oh, okay, well, has it been 5 minutes yet? Let's change the scenery.
Yeah.
You know, that
to a different part of the woods.
Yeah, exactly. And so they get to the airstrip. I guess they've cut a couple of the... They're not...
It's not clear.
It's not clear. But they steal a plane, obviously.
You said earlier that this was the one selfless moment. I would argue that this is actually being a very selfish thing because all they're doing is they're trying to escape in a plane.
Well, I think at one point he was going to either strafe Germans or he was going to turn back because they had been shot up by some of the other planes. And I think that he was just going to go in. I thought that he was going to go in for like a kamikaze thing or like to damage it. You're absolutely right. Now, thinking back to it, that was just something that I put on them and to be like, oh, are they going to make one final sacrifice? Because
they just flew away.
No, they just fly away. They realize that there's no more fuel because they got shot in the fuel line. They sort of land and, I don't know, they get out, but they don't have to run away from the plane.
Right, because it's not going to explode.
It's not going to explode. And then...
they run directly into...
Vanya and the Resistance.
And they're like, you again.
And at that moment, I realized that all of this is a metaphor for purgatory.
Yeah, I thought so too. They ended up in the same exact spot.
Yes.
That was the one part of this movie that I actually really loved.
Because it was framed exactly the same.
Absolutely the same. And I thought in that sense, there was something really great about this movie.
No.
Well, no, I mean, look, you're absolutely right in that. I mean, look. For once in this movie, I enjoyed a thing.
Okay.
Because it felt like it was doing something. There's a couple of quotes here that I found on the Italian Wikipedia.
Okay.
That I ran through Google Translate.
Oh,
of this
my
movie.
goodness. All right.
So it's a little tough.
Okay.
In that it's not translated extremely well.
Amazing.
But, you know, one quote was, these are all from critics. One was, lavishly illustrated, simple-minded, and no good war film. Another one said,
good,
about director Umberto Lenzi, in his career turned everything cheap and bad is. All right.
Yep.
Because I do think this was probably the downfall of his career. He didn't do a lot after this.
That's a shame.
And then one of the quotes is, a lot of shootings and explosions, unfortunately, however, hardly an action. And that last quote, I think, really, really sums up the movie. Is there is a lot of shootings, there's a lot of explosions, there's a lot of quote-unquote action scenes, but there isn't an action.
That's weirdly poetic.
I know.
Yeah.
I was really proud of that.
Huh.
Because it didn't feel like there was nothing to push the thing forward.
No.
And that's what became tough, because the movie itself could have been great, but because we didn't know the characters, we didn't care about the characters, and we didn't ever have motivations for the characters, the movie was really hard to grasp onto. And unlike other Italian films that perhaps... because, like, I've seen Sacrifice, I've seen Eaten Alive.
Okay.
Are they great as far as, like, storytelling is concerned? Probably not. But the thing about, like, those kinds of Italian films of this time, they were bloody as fuck. They were, like...
so at least there was something.
Special effects where you're like, holy fucking shit, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah.
So you had something to grasp onto. This movie was missing that for me.
Yeah.
It missed anything that was visually striking and storytelling-wise that was striking.
Yeah.
Which then just made it sort of fall apart.
Well, there was no heart to it. Or the thing pumping out of the heart.
Yeah, there's no heart or blood.
Yeah, exactly.
You need one or the other.
That's right. But again, I could not get on the side of the protagonists.
Well, that's exactly right.
And if you can't do that, who cares what struggles or tribulations they're going through?
Like, I know this is not a perfect one-for-one example, but like in the Ocean's 11, 12, 13, or 8 movies, right?
Yes.
Like all of them, we are essentially watching a bunch of people perpetrate a heist.
Yeah.
They are robbers. They are bad people. They are stealing money from someone. Of course, they're not stealing money from nuns. Yeah. They're often stealing money from, like, jerky casino owners or whatever.
Right. I mean, if you had made Nazis the bad guys in this, which obviously they are,
right?
But I mean, and the ones that are being stolen from,
sure,
great.
Well, there's a difference, but I also think the reason the Ocean's movies work, because, like, look, if we want to break down the Ocean's movies for a second, if you do steal millions and millions and millions of dollars, like from a casino, it's not just that guy who is played by Andy Garcia who is losing out.
Yes.
He's going to have to fire people. He might have to fold. There's going to be a lot of people out of jobs.
Don't bring the reality into this.
But my point is, I know, right? But what I'm getting at, though, is the reason those movies work is we like Danny Ocean because we know who Danny Ocean is.
Yes, yeah.
We understand. We know who Tess is.
We know his motivations. Yeah.
So even though they are doing things that are, not great, we at least get it. This movie, these guys are doing something that's not great, and they're also kind of like smarmy assholes who try to rape a nun.
It just feels like they're having a lark. It just feels like they are romping through this rather than having a clear goal at the end, having a reason to steal that stuff other than the fact that they're going to get rich. They don't have any reason other than the fact that the rebellion might kill them.
Sure, yeah.
Unless they help them out.
Honestly, I would be fine with the movie where they're assholes the entire time and at the very last second they do something that's self-sacrificing.
That would be great.
Great.
That would redeem the whole damn thing. Yes.
I also wouldn't mind the movie where they're assholes the entire time and they are clearly assholes. They're like, I don't give a fuck if it's a nun. We're stealing the fucking money.
Yeah.
And then it resets and it is a purgatory type situation. And they have to go back.
Yep. And you're like, oh, they didn't learn this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that movie as well. But in this, it's sort of like it's like they wanted a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. We want them to be likable, but we also want them to be jerks. We want them to save the day, but we also want them to be robbers.
Do you think the writer and, the writer and director was both Lenzi?
Yeah.
Do you think he wanted these guys to be heroes?
I think so.
Oh, man.
I think so.
Sympathetic? Like, he didn't write it that way.
I think so. I think, I don't think why make the movie if they're not sympathetic?
Yeah.
This way. Why make the movie this way if they're not sympathetic?
I don't know.
And, look, I gotta be honest. We're placing 2019 American ideals and values on characters who, in a movie made in 1986,
based
set
in
1940s,
40s,
with different, perhaps, cultural things, where we're like, oh my god, Gazorpazorp tries to fucking rape a nun or, like, feel up a nun. We are putting something on there that may not have existed at that time, so that's maybe why we hate him now, whereas in 86, that would have been, like, sort of funny, because, like, you're acting like a nun. I am a nun. Ha 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 ha. That's funny.
I mean, first, you could have him try to kiss her when she was conscious.
Awake.
Yeah.
No, totally. I'm not.
But no. I agree. But that alone, I mean, that turned me from liking him.
I hated him the rest of the movie.
I did too. But there was never any other redeeming things about him. Or it's just I've seen other movies. I swear to God.
At least
I've seen
29 of them.
Other movies, yes. If you've been listening to the podcast. But it's just that the storytelling was so flat, so unoriginal, and just intended to be an action movie from place to place to place, from scene to scene.
Yeah.
There was no imagination put into it.
No.
And so there was also no reason to care for these guys.
One thing that I'm going to throw out, two things I'm going to throw out there. One is that It's interesting that you say that, because what crossed my mind is this is a thing that will happen when I'm working on dramaturgical work, when I'm working on script doctoring work and things like that.
Sure.
Sometimes I'll ask the question, like, why do we care about this character? And the response I get is, well, they're the lead.
Yep.
Great. Why do we care about the character? Because they're the lead. That's who we're supposed to care about. No, we care about the lead because the lead does something to make us care about him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go to the most basic, ridiculous
save the
screenwriting-
cat.
Exactly.
Yes.
Save the cat. Which, I don't subscribe to that necessarily.
No.
Save
But
the cat,
let's show a reason why we should care.
Yes. It's the
Just
whole thing of, like,
put some humanity in them.
Objective.
Yeah.
They just need an objective.
Yeah.
Other
than stealing.
Other than stealing. The other thing I'm going to throw out is it seems like we're laying a lot of the guilt at the feet of Umberto Lenzi. But this was part of the Go-Go Boys years.
Right.
This was a film that the Cannon boys bought.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know if Umberto Lenzi made another kind of movie that was released in Italy, that then the Cannon boys went ahead and just were like, cut all of that bullshit and go straight down to this.
I personally can't see there being in this movie, in the tone that we saw, anywhere where somebody sat down and had a heart-to-heart with somebody else. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't see where it would have fit in, really.
You're right. I mean, yeah.
That's all I'm thinking is, like, the dubbing, they didn't dub over stuff that really would have made us care about these guys.
Yeah, but we might have cut, like, even if this is one of those things where, like, even if this movie was 15 minutes longer,
yeah,
and had some of that stuff, like, you could trim around a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I have no clue. I feel like this is a movie where there's probably more blame to be thrown around than just at, like, the feet of Umberto Lenzi.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a movie where there's some blame to be thrown at the Go-Go Boys. If nothing else, the fact that they fucking bought it and released it. If this is what it looked like and they bought it and released it, well, then we have some questions.
It's just a weird light tone to the whole thing that just never made you either... I mean, I guess I laughed out loud, but...
Not in the way we're supposed to.
Not in the way that we were supposed to, and also never got serious enough for a war movie.
Yeah.
So it was walking that weird tightrope that they fell off of completely.
Yeah.
Also, something that was very distracting about this movie...
Are we going to talk about the way we watched it?
Yes, we are.
So it was on Amazon Prime,
yes.
We should mention, but...
I've never seen this happen.
It was incredible.
So, yes, I've seen DVD transfers that are not the greatest.
On Amazon Prime.
On Amazon Prime or just... Exactly.
Network.
But this one was a direct VHS to digital copy.
Straight tracking lines.
Yeah, tracking lines, static. I mean, are you kidding me? That was bizarre to me. I thought that I had seen my last tracking line, 10 years ago.
Well, get ready and strap in, because some of these Cannon movies that I've found recently are only available as VHS rips from YouTube.
Oh,
so
fun times.
Yeah.
But, I mean, professionally, though.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, I get that, because there are some rare movies out there that nobody ever thought were worth putting on any other medium. But my God, to see a professional platform like Amazon put that up there, granted it's free to watch if you got Prime.
I mean, I'm sure this is not all Amazon, because I think
we could purchase it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You could purchase it for like $8 or something
but
like
I
that?
mean, like, Amazon doesn't necessarily put it up there. Like, it's through Amazon.
No,
but,
yeah.
the company that owns it put
it
it up there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, and I also think there were some shots in this movie that were extraordinarily terrible.
Yep.
But I'm actually going to at least chalk some of them up to the fact that it's the 3x4 VHS transfer.
Yes.
Squared off screen that wasn't a nice,
maybe we missed some pensive looks off screen
yeah.
that would have given us a lot of
something else.
Showing not telling.
Maybe.
But
I doubt that.
I do too.
All right, so what's Cannon about? Oh, go ahead.
One more thing that was kind of cool, and you pointed this out. it was the only piece of clever scripting in the whole movie. Was at the very beginning of the movie, Bill, the American, says, "Gosh, what I wouldn't give for a camel." You know, a camel cigarette. Camel cigarette. And much later on in the movie, when they meet up with, I don't remember who it was, but another faction of the rebels.
Vanya's, like, it was
Vanya's connection.
Vanya's connection, who wasn't the rebels, but, like,
in a different part of the country, whatever they were in. And they said, Americans, would you like a camel? Yeah. And he hands him a cigarette pack, and it's camels because... Well, we are allies of the Americans. Yeah. We have those cigarettes. And I was like, that's a great moment. That ties that back to what he wanted, to what he got.
Was this entire movie the journey of one man trying to get a camel cigarette?
Obviously.
Because through that lens...
It was brilliance.
Yeah.
Just utter brilliance. But nothing else ever paid off. No. Nothing else, you know, especially with the switcheroo that she pulls.
Yeah.
With the rocks and everything like that. It was such a comedy trope.
Well,
you know, a result of it being, you know, pulled out, or swindled, or had the rug pulled out from under them, and us, because we as stupid audience viewers members would never have predicted that.
And I think you're right. I mean, like, the reaction to them finding out there were rocks was like, oh, shucks.
Wah, wah, wah.
Whereas, like, if one of them was like, motherfucking fuck!
Exactly.
Fuck, that was fucking everything! I was gonna fucking go home and change my goddamn... I fought this fucking war, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously I went like, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Again, it feels super PG, doesn't it?
Yeah, well.
Like there was...
Although I think it was R-rated, but yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did they swear?
I swear they did.
Huh. Wah, 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 wah.
So, it looks like it was unrated in America. Oh, yeah.
So yes, what is canon about this wonderful movie?
I think things that we can take away are, I do kind of like I think we have to take away the practicals being fucking amazing.
Yes, yeah.
I think I like that callback, like that kind of big time callback, like wrapping all the way around was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think stealing the footage of the German soldiers with the dogs, which was taken from a 1973 film called The Battle of Sutjeska.
Oh, okay.
Which I think we should steal that.
Stealing?
Yeah, stealing.
Yeah. Or just that scene. Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, I love that. And I also really liked the... I like the idea of ending up in the same place and it being purgatory. Like, there is an interesting thought process to that.
Yeah.
That, if done right, could be actually a really fucking great movie.
And a really interesting message about war and greed and the human condition.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie, the bones of it, could be made into a wonderful war film.
Yeah.
I think if we were to make a strictly war canon film...
You could definitely use the structure of this.
I think so. But I cut out a lot of the jokes.
But other than that... oh, boy.
But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how is the play?
Oh, no. Other than that, Mrs. Kennedy, how is Dallas?
Other than that, Melania, how
is your life?
How are you doing? Anyway.
Oh, boy.
For me, I think production value, if you can, I mean, look, they didn't get everything right. The haircuts were the most frustrating thing. They were absolutely mid-'80s haircuts. Yeah. When, I mean, if they could have just Googled 1940s haircuts.
Which you actually did while watching the movie.
Oh, I did.
There was a moment we're watching the movie, and AJ Googles 1940s haircuts, looks at me, shoves his phone in my face, and says, "This is what their hair's supposed to look like."
They're doing it wrong. Well, he looked like Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap.
I thought
the American
Scott
dude.
Baio, but that's fine too.
Either one.
Yeah.
Either one.
The Scots.
They all looked the same back then.
The Great Scots.
Great Scott. Oh, and I know that you disagree with me, but Placebo looks very much...
You're so wrong.
...like Kyle Chandler.
You are so wrong.
Kyle Chandler mixed with Al Madrigal.
Kyle Chandler is a god who does not look like anyone else because Kyle Chandler is Kyle Chandler.
Do you just want to watch Friday Night Lights instead of this?
Yeah, actually, you know what?
Podcast?
We could. I would happily do a podcast called Friday Night Pod, where every week we just discuss an episode of Friday Night Lights.
All right, that can be the next thing. That could be the next project.
I would gladly do that.
Check it out on,
on
our network.
I would actually watch Friday Night Lights with you.
Okay.
And do a podcast breaking down that show minute by minute. Like every episode was 1 minute of the show. And I would do that I would do that with you.
Oh my god.
And celebrate how incredible that show. You know what? I'll stop.
I just realized this is my purgatory. Every single week we sit down in these same chairs and we do the same thing. But anyway, I really... You out of steam?
Yeah.
Okay. But I really enjoyed the attention to detail otherwise, like with the German trucks, with the outfits, with the costumes. I mean,
these were just still lying around in Yugoslavia. That's the problem.
I guess so. Yeah. But I mean, the turret guns and the actual guns. It was. I'm not a World War II buff, but it did evoke that feeling very much, except for the people's attitudes. It just it was very odd. It was so anachronistic. Also, talk about anachronistic. The score of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, we did not talk about the score.
No, Fabio, who I love his scores, this was a bit of a misfire in that it sounded like a great synth track from a 1980s zombie horror flick.
Yep.
Italian horror flick, and it was just... It felt weird.
Synth does not belong in a World War II movie. I've found out.
It can.
From this.
It can work.
Okay.
I mean, like, it's not a World War II movie, but if you think of Chariots of Fire, that's a synth score, and it's a great score. It won the fucking Oscar.
No,
well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good, but I mean, like, like it's iconic, and it's a synth score.
You're right.
And that's
you're right.
From 1920 something.
I just think also their choice of timing of the score did not make any sense.
No.
Also, again, the tone is all over the place in this, and in action scenes, there's the burp. I mean, it just, yes.
They did Axel F.
They did
I don't remember
F.
Axel F at all.
Absolutely they did. I don't know how you missed that. It took me out of it so hard. I know that at the time, if I watched this in 1986, and
it might be a different...
it would have just blended in with all the other pieces of media that were out at the time.
Maybe.
Again,
it definitely has that like Italian hardcore zombie flick thing going on.
Yeah.
I just keep going back to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it was from.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a leftover track.
From Zombie to or City of the Living Dead.
That's correct.
all
Well, do we
right.
have anything else that we want to steal?
I think we spent more time talking about this movie than they did writing and shooting this movie.
That's about right. Yeah.
So I think we should check out.
I think we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, what do we got next week?
AJ, next week.
Yes?
It's the end.
What?
It's the end, AJ. I'm so sorry.
No.
Yes.
No, it can't be.
I have to read you.
Okay.
Your last rites.
We could go higher.
Yeah, I don't
No,
wanna...
you can't.
Well, it's just going to hurt people's ears.
That's fair.
Yeah, I love them.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, next time we're going to watch a movie from 1980 called Last Rites. Although it is on Prime, Amazon Prime.
All right.
On Prime, it's called Dracula's Last Rites.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, if you want to find the movie...
That's fair.
You gotta know the name.
No, I'm talking to the title of the movie.
Oh.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, everything that we've just talked about.
Watch out, guys.
It's the Last Rites of Dracula.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Dracula's Last Rites.
Yeah, which maybe he's reading them. Maybe he's being read them.
Maybe
Who knows?
he's like Zoolander.
Oh.
And he no longer can turn right. He has to turn left only. Although I think in Zoolander he could only turn right. He couldn't turn left.
Next week on Creating Cannon.
That cannon is so hot right now.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Are you German?
Yeah. Why?
I was just curious.
Why are you asking me? What
I
is
was just
the problem?
curious.
No, that is fine. I just don't know what you're accusing me of right now. So we want to thank you for listening, and we want to ask you if... all right, I'm dropping that. You can follow Nicholas over there.
At Nicholas C. Pappas.
On the Twitters,
Twitter,
right?
And check out nicholascpappas.com, because, you know, it's where all the cool kids hang out.
I am the AJ Hamilton on all of the things. You can add an @ or a .com to that, and you'll find me. And you can follow us at Creating Cannon. That's CANNON on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we have an email address that's the same thing at gmail.com. How fascinating is that? Please.
It's almost like we did that on purpose.
I know. It's like branding or something like
Seriously.
that. I don't get it. But follow us, review us, rate us.
Yeah.
It all helps. We love everyone across all of the countries that are listening to us. So many awesome people.
Italy,
Germany, and
Ireland. We definitely made fun of Irish people in the show at one point in time.
yeah, we
So,
definitely did. So
all of those
thank
places
you for
where
listening.
thank you for not being angry. at
Please
us.
continue. We're not professional dialect duplicators.
What?
I know. What? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm working on it.
Anyways,
Anyways,
this is old Spanakopita face and old sauerkraut face saying
jawohl. Good night and good cannon.
Oh my god. We just need to cut all the Zoolander references.
No!
We've lost all cred. I mean, it's not like we had much, but it's gone now.
Good Luftwaffe. No.
What? Did
What?
you say good loofah washer?
Yes, that's what I said.
Good loofah washer.
They are stupid men with stupid faces. Boo!
Now they sang boo earns.
I was saying boo earns.
Hey, nickel dickle ding dong, what are we doing next week?
Yeah, you gotta go for Coke can size or larger.
Mine's like a tuna can.
Huh.
Well, I mean, like a tuna can shaped like a roll of dimes.
You do some weird stuff in the smelting room, don't you? They're done with that. Hold on.
You can keep going.
Okay.
Is it loud when I do that?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. So they're done with the mission. What can I throw at you?
I'm so sorry. I thought that was super funny.
Oh my god.
Okay, so they're done with the mission.